Okay, so what are additives? Additives are anything that's in your everyday food or your everyday care product. Additives consist of many different things, which we're going to get to in these slides that I'm going to share with you. So first is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, everybody who loves Coca-Cola loves it because of the taste, or they're very loyal to Coca-Cola and would not like, the Pepsi. But there's a lot of different types of pops that contain an ingredient on here called phosphoric acid. Now, phosphoric acid is a hazardous substance. We're going to go through it here. This is by the New Jersey State Department of Health and Senior Services. So this is a for you to know basis to keep the public safety around this substance. Looking at the hazardous summary, phosphoric acid can affect you if it's breathed in. Phosphoric acid is a corrosive chemical and can contact the eyes and burn the eyes if it contacts the eyes. Breathing phosphoric acid can irritate the nose, throat, and lungs, causing coughing or wheezing. Long-term exposure to the liquid may cause drying or cracking of the skin. Now, the long-term exposure to the liquid, that's not inhaling it, that's the actual liquid itself. So keep that in mind when drinking your Coca-Cola. Next slide here, it does state chronic health effects. The following chronic long-term health effects can occur at some time after exposure. They don't know when. It's different for everybody to phosphoric acid and can last for months or even years. Now, that all depends on repetitive usage of it, how much you're taking, and how you're taking it. If you're inhaling it, ingesting it, or on your skin, there's different ways to being affected by this substance, and all depending too on how much you take of it and how repetitively you are taking it. The cancer hazard, it's stated, phosphoric acid has not been tested for its ability to cause cancer in animals. So there is no studies on it, but it is still being used in our beverages. Reproductive hazard, it has not been tested for the ability to affect reproduction. There's another one there. So those are data gaps. That's what I call this, is data gaps. You'll notice through a lot of my my research and studies that I am studying and what I'm going to bring out on what I find, that there is a lot of data gaps or more knowledge is needed to make these claims when it comes to something beneficial. So keeping that in mind on my channel, that I will say data gaps all the time. That's what it means. There's data gaps everywhere on every study, and we got to make sure that we pay attention and catch these data gaps and know that that's the alarming part of the substance. Next here, scrolling down underneath reproductive hazard, was other long-term effects. Phosphoric acid can irritate the lungs. Repeated exposure may cause bronchitis to develop with a cough, phlegm, or shortness of breath. That's just inhaling it. Long-term exposure to the actual liquid may cause drying or cracking of the skin, which I have mentioned. So basically, drinking this is not a good thing. The burning sensation you get going down, that's burning for a reason. I feel that this here being a chemical hazardous, that it should not be in our products. The reason for this citation, though, is listed over here. Phosphoric acid is on the hazardous substance list because it is regulated by OSHA and cited by ACGIH, DOT, NIOSH, IRIS, the NEPH, or PA and EPA. So it's cited by everybody. It's warned by all these large places where they deal with hazardous chemicals. So that is very alarming, and that's the reason why this chemical is on the special hazard substance list as well, as it is corrosive. Now, if you want to check this out, you can go to just type in Coca-Cola hazardous. You'll get this hazardous sheet. You can do that for any ingredients. Just put hazardous beside it, and you would possibly get up a hazardous sheet on it if it has a hazard. And then there's Doritos. Everybody eats Doritos of some kind or some time in their life. Some people don't eat them. They eat other chips. This does apply to you as well. I've highlighted just a few on this bag of chips. The first one there is monosodium glutamate, which is MSG. This is known, especially the next two, they're natural and artificial flavors. These are known to be criticized for being highly addictive. There's a lot of these large bodies, especially the ones selling it to you, say that it's not highly addictive. But that is definitely not the case, because with my research, especially on artificial flavoring, and there's a few companies that I go through on my TikTok about this. There is a cell line called HEK293T. This is from an abortus fetal tissue, and it is used to create taste receptors in order to test the artificial flavor on to see if it's sweet or if it's sour or if it's salty. And this is how they're able to trigger that exact need in the taste receptor on every human being. So when they're making new flavors, they test it with these artificial taste receptors that they have created in a lab in order to get that exact science to get you wanting that taste. So if you look at the actual science behind developing them, I would say, out of my research and my assumption, that artificial flavors, natural flavors, and MSGs are highly addictive, and this is what's making you come back to buy these products. Disodium isonate and glutamate. There's one more as well. There's 3 in this category that all do the same thing. In the studies, they do say in a few areas of that study that it does change the behavior of children. I didn't say anything about adults, but I would assume at a high dosage of it, I'm sure you would achieve that as well. So with the artificial flavors that are kind of like an addictive flavoring, because they're targeting your specific tongue taste receptors, and the disodium isonate, which is manipulating the behavior of you, I believe with those two together will make it almost hard to stop eating anything with these ingredients in it. Next is KD. A lot of people have had KD before. I've personally had boxes and boxes and lots of this over the years of growing up. But on this as well, you can see the alarming things that I've highlighted there. Modified. Anything modified it's a throw toss up in the air. Are they modifying it for the good values of the vegetable or fruit or whatever they're modifying? Like, are they modifying it for better minerals and vitamin content? Or are they doing it for the look and the taste and to put a bug repellent in it so it can grow better, like the modified cornstarch? Natural flavors again is in this. So what is that natural flavor that they are using? If they have the dried whey from milk and cheddar cheese there, that's giving you that cheese taste for the cheese sauce. What is the natural flavor? Sodium phosphates. People would look at that and just assume that it may be a salt. If you're familiar with what sodiums are, it is a salt. But when you look on WebMD, that is just not the case. This is a medication. Sodium phosphate is the medication that may be used to relieve occasional constipation. However, when treating constipation, you should use mild products such as stool softeners, bulk forming laxatives whenever possible. So they are using a medication in the craft dinner. They also use it as a food additive, and it's used for different things, emulsifiers, preservatives, and things like that. So you always got to look at these medications that they're putting in, as they hide it under a different thing by saying that it's a preservative or emulsifier or thickening agency or something like that. But in all reality, it's still a medication. It still does what the medication's supposed to do. Therefore, we are taking the medications in the food. Whether you want to say it's food grade or not, or it's used in the food industry at a safer level, it doesn't matter, safer or not, it's still a medication. It's still listed as a medication. Next is Fruitopia. A lot of people have drinking Fruitopia. Excuse me for a sec. A lot of people have do drink Fruitopia of all kinds. I personally myself have loved this kind, but I stopped drinking it long ago, and I don't know then because the ingredients were different on a lot of different items then, and I wasn't paying attention. But I do know when insects were introduced into our culture here in Canada, anyways, around 2008 is when the crickets came. I do a whole episode on that, so I'll leave that for another conversation. But with this one, looking on the ingredients list, there's some more alarming things. But I just want to walk you through this so you have a better understanding of when you look at a label, you'll see things in a different way. So you got your ingredients, your filtered water. Okay, so that'll make up the liquid, the sugar and glucose and fructose. So that is your sweet taste of it. And then we got fruit juices from concentrate. Okay, so this will make the flavor enhance of these juices because it's concentrated. That means it's very It'll be heavier in taste and heavier in nutrients and whatnot. So pear, passion fruit, apple, and strawberry. So there's where the tastes come from. But then after that, they label another one. It's called natural flavor. So what is that natural flavor? It's not anything that's on that box because it's a separate ingredient itself. So they added something, which we all know that ingredients that are natural or artificial are made up of other things, and they don't have to tell you under the regulation law as long as they keep it under a certain amount of percentage. It's their trade. It's used as like a trade secret. And then the last one here is cochineal extract, which a lot of people don't know what cochineal is. They would just look at it. Oh, okay, it's a bug. So those of you who have allergic reactions to any dust mites and things like that, or shellfish, this here could be allergic reaction as well, because bugs do give you allergic reactions. And then there is Kool-Aid. I'm sure a lot of people drink Kool-Aid out there. Doesn't matter what color you get of Kool-Aid. This applies to you as well. But just here's another example of what they're doing to our drinks. Is artificial and natural flavoring in there. Water and sugar is basically the flavor you're getting, but the artificial and natural flavoring, they use two of them. So that means they can use 90 different chemicals from this side and 90 different chemicals from this side and get away with it. So just keep that in mind, that artificial and natural flavor, they don't have to disclose what ingredients they use in order to create those flavors. That's why it's on there. So when you look at it and you say, oh, I know what that is, you don't know what that is. None of us know what that is. So that's just preposterous to even think that this is safe to drink if you don't know what's in it. Allura Red, that right there alone is a carcinogenic food dye. Same with blue FCF, carcinogenic blue dye. And then there's the disodium EDTA. Most people have seen that on there. A lot of their products lately, they come in different forms. It is a medication as well, used to extract heavy metal toxins out of your blood. Why we're using this in our drinks and things like that, especially when you ingest these things, especially Allura Red. When you ingest Allura Red, you do know that it goes into your bloodstream, and this is what causes cancer and hyperness in children. So at the end of the day, your tongue is still blue or red or green or yellow, whatever Kool-Aid you drank. So it did enter your bloodstream. It went onto your tongue, into your bloodstream, and you definitely ingested it. So all of these chemicals on this, you have ingested directly into your tongue. And I when you look at these studies, they say to not, it doesn't enter your bloodstream and things like that. But that's when you ingest it regularly, probably through food or food dyes like that. But once it gets into your blood, then it does its thing throughout your body. So putting it onto your tongue and the dye sticking there, that's just evidence that the substance didn't go away. The dye didn't go away. It's on your tongue. So keep that in mind if you're drinking Kool-Aid. Very poor choice. I know it's fun to give to kids to go to school or for Halloween. A lot of people did that for Halloween. Throw it out. It's garbage. I do not recommend it based off of the ingredients that they give for your public safety. That's why they're there. Next is Burt's Bees Purely White Toothpaste. Now, they advertise on here fluoride-free toothpaste. Removes stains, deep cleans, and freshens your breath. So that means it leaves whatever's in here for ingredients on your breath. So even though it's subject to a wash-off substance and it's approved as a wash-off substance, you can wash something off. But if there's a fragrance or something on there that's still leaving you fresh and clean, the substance did not wash off. Only people who don't want to assume that, or only people who believe what they're telling you in these studies or in these articles will not pick up these type of things. And this is clearly telling you evidence that when you brush your teeth and it's leaving it smelling clean, even drinking the Kool-Aid, leaving your tongue blue, this is evidence that the wash-off regulation is not happening. You can wash off most of it, but it's still there. Even your hairs, when you're using hair soap, it leaves it silky clean and things like that. The chemicals are still there. They didn't wash off. They're there. They're made to stay there. So just keep that in mind as well when they do these studies, that the studies are studied for that purpose of washing it off. But if it's sticking to the skin afterwards, it's still there, and that study doesn't mean anything anymore. You still have it on your skin because it's smelling fresh and clean. And that's where we get confused. Fresh and clean, but it is a chemical. So you got to look at that in a different perspective and not always think that something is safe because it's approved. And on the box of this toothpaste, clearly tells you it's not tested on animals, but it doesn't tell you that it's been tested on humans. But we are doing it now, so people are buying this toothpaste, and I bet you none of them have even read that label on there. And if you have, you should be alarmed because there's no results out of this. Now, a lot of these companies get to approve things based on their risk assessment, the information they're giving to the FDA, to the health agencies, for them to make up their decision. But doesn't that sound silly that a company is allowed to give their own risk assessment in order to sell their own product worldwide? To make their own risk assessment and provide their own studies to sell their products worldwide? Isn't the money like a big conflict of interest there? We should have people reading over the studies, and then in the health agencies, inspection and researchers that we have within the public that are allowed to do this stuff that we can trust that don't work for those companies, they should be the ones providing the data, looking it over, and stating whether it's safe or not. So I just thought I brought that up because one of my videos I'm going to do about lab meat states that perfectly. It's left up to the actual company to make the risk assessment, and it was just recently green lighted and approved. At the bottom, they do advertise without SLS, artificial flavors and sweeteners. Makes it sound even better. But on the ingredients list, I did see, once again, titanium dioxide. There, I zoomed in there for you so you can see it again. But you're ingesting it onto your gums, your tongue, you're brushing your whole mouth. And some people brush it for a whole minute, 2 minutes long. So that right there alone, knowing it's carcinogenic, and it's in our teeth, like, we should not be consuming it at all. So let's keep on moving here. There you go, titanium dioxide. Here's the hazardous sheet from the New Jersey Health Department again. On that hazardous sheet, it says titanium dioxide is on the right to no hazardous substance list because it is cited by OSHA, ACGIH, NIOSH, and IARK. This chemical is on the special hazard health hazard substance list as well. So this is on the toothpaste. We're consuming it in our mouth, on our tongue, and on our gums. So going even further into this health hazard sheet, it does say to be handled as a carcinogenic with extreme caution. So they already know titanium dioxide is a known carcinogenic. It is cancerous, but let's put this in our toothpaste. But that's not even the scary thing. So if you go even further here, health effects say for chronic, it's been proven to show in animals as lung cancer. It does irritate the nose and the throat. So brushing it in there, obviously it's going to irritate your throat, whether it's inhaling or just putting it into your mouth. The substance is still the substance. Skin, there is no information on that at all. So I guess they don't provide that. They don't need to because they don't assume that, people might put toothpaste on a pimple or something and have it on their skin. And then your eyes, irritating. Obviously, anything that you put in your eyes will irritate. And what else is it in? This is Halloween candy. This is what every kid out there who got these in their bag is eating. Let's have a look. So here's the ingredients list. As you can see, they make the nutrition value facts stand right out and look appealing to you. But then as people normally read, they just veer off and don't want to read the rest. They'll throw the box in there. It's either on sale or it's just their favorite candy. Nobody's looking at these boxes. And that's what I said at the beginning of this video, is that a lot of people will buy products based on what they've been buying forever. But those ingredients have changed over the time. So they won't even bear to look at the ingredients anymore because they already assume they know or that it's safe. Long-term effects don't happen to you instantly. It takes a while for it to accumulate to give you that rotten health issue. So let's look at the box. Titanium dioxide. There it is again. Carcinogenic, known carcinogenic. And as we knew from the Kool-Aid there, I did not highlight it, but has Allura Red, Tartazine, Indigo Carmine, which is another bug, Sunset Yellow, Brilliant Blue FCF, and Sunset Yellow FCF. All carcinogenic. All of those colors are carcinogenic. And the Allura Red is a hyperactivity food dye as well. So On the next slide here, here's another one that you get through titanium dioxide is triazole. I highlighted it there at the bottom. So we're putting it in our hair, we're putting it in our scalp, and it's digesting into our system that way. And then you're using a toothpaste after, and then you're eating some candy after. So you see how you're accumulating titanium dioxide. These are just a few products that, for example, we consume a lot of stuff. And just have a look at the rest of the ingredients on here. It goes on to the other side. That there alone is showing you that you cannot possibly know what those things mean on there, because some of those words I can't even say. They're literally one length of the bottle long. So my point is, we have so much trust in these large bodies and very little people researching what they're taking. Next slide here. This was in Medical News today. Ultra-processed food consumption linked to premature preventable death. This was by Jessica Norris on November 7th, 2022. And it was fact-checked, so this is believable, by Maria Guilford. Hopefully I said that right. So it is preventable. You just got to stop eating it. That's what they mean. Excuse me. The next slide here. This is the actual study based on that article. Premature deaths attribute to the consumption of ultra-processed foods in Brazil. The study was done in Brazil. Give the credit to the AJPM and all of these PhDs here for their work. This was on November 7th, 2022. Here's another research that was done in 2019 of May. This was published in the BMJ, ultra-processed food intake and risk of cardiovascular disease prospective cohort study. You can have a look at that and read through there as well. So this is just evidence that anything processed, especially if it's ultra-processed, is bad for you because of the additives that are in it. Here's another one. Earth's Own. People drink this all the time. It's almond milk. They'll think, oh, okay, there's nothing wrong with it at all. This is a vegan aisle that people go to and drink because they think they're getting a healthier option. Now, eating fruits and vegetables and fruit from the land and staying away from all those other things, yes, is a healthier option, but they still put these things in your processed foods there as well. For instance, it's a healthier drink, but it's got cane sugar, which is a very poor thing to have in your body, especially if you have any cancers or tumors or things like that. Cancer feeds off of sugar, and fat helps preserve that cancer as well. Then we have the almonds in there. Well, obviously it's almond flavored milk. That's where we get our flavoring from, is the almonds. And they just filter water in here. The sugar will give it, that sweet taste. The salt will give it that salty taste. But then we go on this whole adding these other things. We got natural flavor again. What is that? I thought this was almond milk. What do we have in there that we're not allowed to know about that is being used in there? And then they list vitamins and minerals. Now, sometimes having these vitamins on too much is not good for your body. So you still have to take the recommended value on the bottle and not overdo it. And a lot of us like to overconsume things regardless of what it says on the bottle. And then there's this. So anybody who wants a better explanation on additives, maybe none of this was alarming for you. It didn't really give you the perspective of what I see of just ingredients, period, that are just harmful to the human body, because we're all over consuming them out of moderation. These studies have nothing in common with how we're consuming them, because we do it completely different than the way they're studying them. So it comes to recalls. This is the Canadian website here. You can search on there, as you can see on the left side there. You can search for recalls, advisories, and safety alerts. And on the right side there, that is the more advanced search that you can go to. On the next page there, it kind of shows you an idea of categories, the audience, and the type of recalls. Following that page, this was alarming. This was for all recalls in total from 2012 all the way up to 2022. You can see the huge increase in recalls. This is just proof that the good manufacturing practice is not regulated and is getting out of hand, and it's our health and our safety is left up to these manufacturers who sell and make you the product to make sure that things are good. So if this is happening this bad, and we're all consuming these products and using these products, then what are we going to do about it? Are we going to sit here and allow it to happen, or are we going to raise the awareness and help people see what I am seeing, and hopefully that you're now seeing in a different perspective? On the right side there is the type of class. As you can see, type or class 1 and 2 is there's only 2, but then it gets into the more serious types of classes, and yes, they are quite more extensive. On the next slide here, this is just food we're going to focus on in Canada. We will get to FDA and the European as well for recalls, so just sit back. This works for you too. So the recalls here are 742. General public was the audience for 152 of them. 131 of them was notifying the industry. So sometimes that can mean notifying those who are making it before us who are on the actual market buying it. Next page there on the right side, you do see microbial contamination, allergen, extraneous metal. So this means like glass, bugs, or metals and things like that that have been found in products. Chemicals, other, which we don't know what other is because it's a category named other. So we can just assume that there's 4 things there that are unknown that we don't know about. And marine biotoxin. On the next slide here is what was really alarming. When we look at the increase of good manufacturing practice just to do with food alone, there was a 200% increase since 2011. More so going into the pandemic to present day now. This just proves that the Canadian manufacturers cannot be trusted with the good manufacturing practice and to keep regulations safe for us to consume their products. This is putting the public at large risk. And I mean, quite frankly, this is one thing you want to share. Please share this and let people know that these companies who our health agencies and governments rely on to do their job right, because when you go to the additives just for Canada alone, all these additives where it says recommended amount usage, it says left up to good manufacturing practice. So if there's a hazard sheet on something and it says, or there's studies on something saying it's bad for you or whatever it is, but still more studies need to be done, on that you will see that it says good manufacturing practice beside that chemical additive or that additive food additive. This is how this happens. This is how the increase of things go up, because there's a lack of health inspection agencies there, either prior to the product going out or on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. We need to hire more people. We need to have these manufacturing companies to not be the ones to decide whether it's safe or not for our consumption. They are not doctors, they're not researchers, they're just people out there to make money. So this is why this happens. Next page. These are just examples of the Canadian recalls that have happened recently, just to give you an idea of what they look like. So this one was in Quebec due to lead. That was you can see the date there. I've highlighted as well. On the right side of the page there, due to a toxin contamination. On the next slide there, due to lead again. And then you can see on the other side there, another one as well, 2022-0901 for a toxin. Next slide here. This was due to presence of raw elderberries, which contains cyanogenic glucosines, a natural toxin. This is recalled as it was been sold online. So this may cause cyanide poisoning. And then on the other side of there, this was in all of Canada, pretty much. Salads, various brands of salads. They didn't tell you, it just says various brands of salads. You have to click on there in order to see it. Due to pieces of plastic. So before they even found this out, we've had to have some people consume them and consume plastic. So that's how alerts happen. Either they catch them right when it happens, but why alert the public if they caught it while it happened at the manufacturer building? So this is when it happens, when something happens to the public. So many of these things can happen without being known and let under our nose that we are unaware of. Next slide here, we can see that the FDA has their same thing for the states, which is recalls, market withdrawals, and safety alerts. On the right side of that page, you can see that there is 890 entries. You can go ahead and have a look at that if you are concerned, which I would be. And then there is the European. If you're from the European countries, you can go to food safety, RASFF, food and feed safety alerts. On the right side of that page, it says Consumers Portal. This will allow you to search up your own individual country there and find out what you're looking for. On the next page here, once you click on one of those, you will find this alarming looking page. It looks like maybe the website is broken or it's just website talk. To me, that felt deceiving, and it would push any ordinary person away, thinking, oh, the website's down, forget about it. But no, this is how they left it, which was odd to me because the next page after this goes back to normal. So at the top there, I highlighted the one we're going to focus on, which you see on the right side of the page. The ones underneath there that I highlighted is the actual structure of each section to find out what you need. The top will tell you the date, what product it was. Underneath that, which is in yellow, you'll see the actual website address that will bring you to the other window there. You see the notification. And then underneath that, it says the description of what it was. So you can see over there, notification, metal particles, and food supplement, the organizations involved. On the next page there, it's got a reference number, the subject, which was metal particles and food supplement, notification type, which food was, notification basis, company's own check. So it was already sent out to the public, but how did they know if it was already sent out and the recall had to come back? So somebody had to have obviously been triggered by it, and then they notified the company, and then the company checked and then found out that that was the issue. Classification is an alert notification. The risk decision is serious. So this wasn't just a mild alert. This is a serious alert. Metal pieces in any type of food is not good for your intestines, especially if they're razor sharp. The date of the notification, scroll down even further, you'll see the notifying country, which was Netherlands for this one. Product, food supplement, and then the product category, which is dietary foods, food supplements, and fortified foods. So anybody who thinks that, oh, this is just for the processed foods, there is recalls and bad things going on in everything. Whether you're eating healthy or eating supplements or taking medications, you're at high risk. There was about 5 different articles on blood medications, dietary medications, supplements, and blood thinners and things that are on the news right now that have been recalled due to carcinogenic. So have a look at that. I mean, recalls are big, and it's a good help for you. Next slide is, I just wanted to show you that Nescafe, everybody drinks instant tea, or not everybody, but a lot of people do, or coffee and things like that. When you get the stuff that has flavoring in it and things like that, you're getting into more ingredients, more chemicals that aren't natural. On the back of this one, though, I want to zoom in. You can see that it says acelone potassium. This is called ACE K. This has been used in our food as a food additive forever. They had short-term studies which didn't show too much of effects then, but there are now recent studies. I found this article that brought me onto a study, which I've done on my TikTok. If you want to go check that out, I do have a TikTok. You can visit it, additives.ca. That's my website, additives.ca. I will throw it up on the screen above me here. Visit my website. It brings you to my YouTube links and things like that. And I am making a website to where you can find your additives, the side effects, and the studies with it, and then what products are in it. So I will be mapping it out. It's going to take me a little bit of time. I am a one-person team. Hopefully I can get some help within the community along the way to help speed that process up. In this article, it says horrifying new studies indicates that popular sugar substitutes worsen your memory. This was from sciencetechdaily.com. Credit to them for this story. And on the next page here, JCI Insight. This is the actual study they did to prove this. Early life low calorie sweetener consumption disrupts glucose regulation, sugar motivated behavior, and memory function in rats. Now, sugar motivated behavior, this is a real thing. So these artificial sweeteners, people will have the lack of energy or the lack to want to do something unless they are given this product or have an incentive with this product. That's the sugar motivated behavior. So it does affect your whole emotions, your mood, and it is an addictive substance. And memory function, I mean, you can read on the right side of that sheet as well. Overall, early life exposure to each of these 3 sweeteners produce comparable effects on energy balance, self-motivated behaviors, and memory functions. You can go and check out this, I said, and read a little bit deeper. But next slide here, food additives are not for consumption. That is my logo there. If you guys like it, hit me in the comments. I did make this as my logo for all my social media, so you can find me. But underneath, I just made a few, just a point here. Additives such as ingredients in your everyday food and care products consist of 4 main categories and are approved for human consumption. Next slide. Number 1, medications. Yes, your ingredients in your foods and hair care products or any kind of care products are subcategoried. Those ingredients are subcategoried into these 4 categories I'm showing you. medications. So we are consuming a large list of medications unknowingly, because people don't look at their labels and they don't read up the studies and they don't know that they're medications. They just think it's a food additive or a care product additive. Number 2 is drugs. Same thing. We're consuming a large list of drugs. Number 3 is chemical compounds. We are consuming a large list of chemical compounds as well. And then newly, a lot new here in the West as well, European, UK. They're just going over a risk assessment now. But insects, they are now into our studies as well. So that's an ingredient in the categories list as well. Next page here is just an example. This is how you know what they are. You just go Wikipedia. You can get a quick information out of there. Wikipedia is good because it will link you to the finished studies or cite to the studies that is available online. So it's just kind of like a spider web site is what I call it, where you click on something, you go to another site, you go to another site, you go to another site. So it's good to get information and start there. But as you can see, sodium benzenite, that's an additive that's in our foods. Mix that with a little red, your kid will go super active, and it does produce a carcinogenic called benzene. So this is a drug. As you can see, it's labeled drug on Wikipedia. You have cochineal as well, which is an insect. And I did mess up that slide there. Sorry, fellows. But I was going to show you when I said medication, but I don't know why it showed this sodium benzenite again. Moving on to the next slide. This is just an example of things that people eat on an everyday basis that has a lot of these additives in it. Your Twinkies, your Fruit Loops, your Herbal Essence, Monster Energy. This is a really bad one. Any energy drink, especially the new Starbucks ones. I do a show on my TikTok that shows what's in this. Don't consume it. Sunny D. Believe it or not, Sunny D is not good for you either. Shaving gel, the worst. Putting it on your open pores, cutting with it. It's seeping into your pores, into your bloodstream, and that is listed as a wash-off substance. Same with this. Putting it in your hair, wash-off substance. Right here, after we shave, putting it on our open pores. It's supposed to be a wash-off substance. Then we got this here, which is pickles. Our preservatives that we're using now, we have so many other things in there besides just the vinegar, like we did back in the old day. Go check out your pickle jars that you buy from the store. You will see there is extra ingredients in there. I'm not going to go through them on the show here. This one here, of course, all your sauces, tons of stuff in there as well. Your chewing gums, chewing them, getting it into your gums, getting it into your tongue, the back of your throat, swallowing your saliva. There's a lot of alarming things in there as well. Yes, your soups, they are just as bad. Prefer you to make your own homemade soups. Stay away from anything that is canned, packaged, or boxed. Just be curious. Get educated, because at the end of the day, we need to stay safe. And in order to stay safe, we have to be properly educated. And in order to do that, people have to actually start looking into this. And that's what I've been trying to do. So hopefully with this video and this introduction to my channel, you'll get a better understanding of what I am trying to present to you. I'm trying to educate and report the alarming things that I find to get you more aware about what you're putting in your body. I mean, people have troubles with their diets, their blood sugar levels. Some people have unknown diseases or cancerous carcinogenics in them. People have diseases and things that the doctors can't even figure out. Well, if those doctors who are consuming the same foods as us realize that what we're consuming needs to be researched, especially with what is in people's bodies right now. I mean, we could even just start at what that individual has been consuming just for the last 6 months. Get a list of it. Look at the side effects. Put it in a list. Say, so these are all doing, bowel bleeding or bowel movement, or these are all this. Get a list of them and then see if you got those side effects. And if your doctor can't help you out, say, hey, listen, doc, these foods have side effects that have this junk in it. Could this possibly be it? And maybe you can get something out of that. But at the end of the day, it could be any health official out there who has done a little bit of research or went to school for however many years it is. At the end of the day, they're all still consuming the same stuff as us. We're all still dying around the same age limit. Things have not gotten better in our health system. We're talking about how advanced we are in all these things, but yet we're eating the more and more worse foods, and they're approving more and more worse chemicals. So where do we stand today? We stand in a society where we don't have enough people who are noticing what we're consuming. So be curious, get educated, and hopefully you stick with me and subscribe and hit the like button, because this is the type of information that we need to get out to the public so we can change some people's lives. So till next time, thank you for joining. Stay fit, have fun, and we'll see you on the next one.